All right, we're good. So, welcome everyone. This is Tea Time with Lady Amy, and I am Lady Amy with Houses of Windsor. And today I am with the wonderful Alexis Parker of Brick Tech IT. Welcome, Alexis.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. You know, I've heard about these legendary tea times, and funny story, I called Lady Amy up one day, and I actually told her, I said, hey, do you not like me? Why have I not been invited? So I requested to be on the show.
Yes, which I appreciate. Yeah, because usually, I mean, in the beginning it was like asking people, and then I just kind of let it be where people came as they pleased. So it was perfect for you to reach out to me. Okay, so first of all, we like to share what we're drinking and where we're calling from, like city, state.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm boring. I'm calling from Orlando. I'm, local.
Yeah.
Oviedo, specifically, if anybody's watching in Oviedo.
Yeah. Well, it's not boring for all my friends in Indiana, so it's okay.
There you go. I am drinking. I went to Publix down the street.
Love it.
And I even put it in a nice mug, so it's still
Aww.
tea. It's
that's nice.
Iced tea. You know, I'm from the South, so of course I like some good old sweet tea.
Yes. That's funny. So I did not grow up liking iced tea at all. I'm up from north, so it is all unsweetened iced tea up there. And then down here, I just kind of never cared, I guess, to even go the iced tea route. So, but I have started doing some iced tea of my own things, like fruit infusions and stuff. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. The tea time group that I do on Fridays on Facebook, there's some Brits in there, and when we talk about iced tea, they're just like, but why do you have it cold though? Like, why would you want
hot
that?
here?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
But no, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny. And let's see. Oh, and I'm drinking, I would say I'm boring today, so I'm drinking Irish breakfast. I wanted something a little stronger this morning to start the day with BNI. And and I'm calling from Altamont Springs, Florida, which is loosely North Orlando. That's how I say it. And yeah, so Alexis, let's start. Well, I guess I'll say we know each other through the famous BNI that I talk about all the time with everyone.
Yes, BNI.
Yeah, so if you don't know what BNI is, yeah, and you are a business person, let me know, because we've got an opportunity for you.
Yes, I promise. It's super fun.
Yeah.
And I'm not a morning person. Surprisingly, I'm not. And I still actually want to get up and be there for 7:15 every Wednesday morning. Right. So
that's amazing.
Kind of telling, guys. It's perfect.
Right. And you have a history that most of us don't have with BNI, is that your parents were both in BNI, right? So you grew up around BNI.
Yeah, my parents, mortgage industry, they've been in it. My dad, he still speaks at a few of them from time to time.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, they knew.
Yeah. So it's just funny because like the average BNI person that I know, they're like, oh, I'd never even heard of it. And then somebody, this and that. And then you're like, oh yeah, like I grew up, I know what it is.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And so what is it that you do, Alexis?
Well, besides being, sweet tea lover, I am actually a marketing coordinator at your local IT consulting company, Brick Tech. Mm-hmm. And we do IT for everywhere, for people in Indiana too.
Perfect. That's good to see.
Yeah. So if anybody ever needs anything, if anything's ever broken in the office, we work with other business professionals, and we'll be there for you. We just have to help out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how did you get with Brick Tech? Like, how did that come to be?
Yeah, so I'm a full-time student too at UCF, mm-hmm. University of Central Florida, for those who don't know.
Yeah, that's good to say.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm still a student there. I'm graduating this coming spring, and I'm in advertising, and I was just, looking, and I met Mike Jenkins, the owner of Brick Tech,
Mhm.
and we just really hit it off, and I love the company, and I started working here.
That's so cool. But wait, did you say how you met Mike?
He just started looking for a marketing coordinator, and literally on a whim, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll look into advertising jobs, whatever. I had just had an internship for something
Yeah.
else, and then I applied, and
Oh,
it just took
wow.
it from there. Yeah, we met, and yeah,
And I'm sure he was like, since he needed you to go to BNI for him, he was probably pretty excited that you know all about it, right?
yeah,
That
yeah.
couldn't be more perfect.
But no, and it was big shoes to fill too. Everybody loved Mike.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We do love
But
Mike. Yeah. Shout out to Mike. Hi, Mike.
yeah.
Um, so okay, so that is the business, and that's what you do, and your degree then that you're getting, is that marketing, like straight up marketing, or is it called something else?
So I'm getting a dual degree
Okay.
in advertising and psychology, actually.
Oh,
So
perfect.
yeah, I feel like they go hand in hand, and I love the fact, human behavior is huge, even just as a business professional from that
Right,
standpoint. As I'm sure, everybody listening, even just general life too.
right.
And so I got into that, and I've just always been interested in those things. I'll talk about it more when I talk about like myself and what I like to do on the side.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So that's awesome. So then that does bring me to the main question. What is it that you have like an obsession, a special interest? Like what do you geek out on that kind of everybody knows you for? So, and it's technically not supposed to be related to business, but since you're like in school, if it kind of ties into it, I'll allow it.
Okay.
And it
Okay,
can be
thank
more
you.
than one thing.
Lady Amy,
I
the
know.
the judge. No, but so one of the things I'm actually obsessed with, and I guess it ties into psychology, that's one of my main interest points. I like watching like any type of true crime show, podcast, anything like that. I am obsessed. There's this one girl I watch on YouTube, Bailey Sarian. If
Mhm.
anybody recognizes
I
that
do.
name, comment below. No.
Yeah, right.
um, but she's awesome. She's very popular in that world, and she goes through actually like old cases, like
Yeah.
1800s, 1900s.
Ooh, super old. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because as we know back then, there wasn't DNA testing or anything like
Right,
that.
right. There wasn't
So
even fingerprint, right? Like
right,
for, yeah.
you would be surprised with how much people got away with, and
Yeah,
she kind of goes into it and talks about serial killers and just like victims and families, and
right.
it's really interesting.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that, my mind went to, it's surprising that anyone got caught. Like, how dumb did you have to be back then to get caught?
I
It should have been
promise
so
you,
easy.
it's some of the most shocking stories that you'll see, or people will get caught and like they did it, right?
Yeah,
People know that
right,
they did it. They weren't, hiding it in any type of
right.
way. And then they'll make up some crazy story like, oh well, no, I didn't do this. Some random
Yeah.
woman came in and she just shot him.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's crazy, but
right, right. So I have to ask, do they ever talk about the Lizzie Borden case? Do you know about Lizzie
I
Borden?
don't think she's done a video on her, but I think I've heard
Yeah,
about the case before. Yeah.
it's pretty, yeah, that one's one of my favorites. I actually dressed up as Lizzie Borden for Halloween a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I was basically kind of in like oh, I don't know, sort of like a Victorian outfit or whatever. And then I had a bloody axe, like a fake bloody
Oh my
axe.
gosh.
But yeah, that one's wild just because I mean everything points to her, but like they didn't convict her. I mean, everybody in the town pretty much, she was sort
Knew.
of
Yeah, yeah.
isolated. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like she got to be a real part of the town afterwards, but there was a show that Christina Ricci was in, and she played the Lizzie Borden character, and that was really good. That was like a few years ago, but anyway,
Really.
for all those Lizzie Borden fans out there,
Just insane. Just insane.
yeah. So that's one of them. Okay, so true crime stuff, and
Yes.
yeah, and
My other thing is I have found this new like just way of living.
Hmm.
Wherever I am, act like a tourist.
Oh, yeah.
I was born and raised in Tampa, Florida, which for those of you who don't know, it's literally 2 hours away from here. But I have found that my first few years of living in Orlando, I didn't do much. And obviously Orlando, we have a ton of stuff. We have
Yeah.
Disney, which everybody knows, but you know, a ton of amusement parks
Right.
and just fun things to do. It's a lively city.
Hmm.
And I felt like I didn't do anything. I felt
Yeah.
like, especially, you know, we have a ton of cultures here
Right.
and different types of food. And so I made this new just like mindset where I
Hmm.
was like, no, act like a tourist wherever you go.
Right.
Take the pictures, you know, relive the
Oh, yeah.
memories,
Yeah.
be that like, you
That's
know,
fun. Yeah,
the
I like
core.
that added thing of like, yeah, even taking pictures like a tourist. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like genuinely like and I'm sure the people watching, you know, you guys can look back and think like of all the things that you've done, but did you really take like I mean and people who did take the pictures and when you travel you experience all these new things, but
Mhm.
it doesn't just have to be when you travel. Find the
Right,
things in your
right.
city, you know, be
That's
excited
cool.
about that stuff.
So how long have you been doing that, like living that way then?
A few months.
That's okay. And
Yeah,
how,
yeah.
yeah. So I have like logistical questions for you. Like,
Okay.
so how, like if someone wants to start doing that, like, cause it sounds great, but like for me, I immediately think of like, well, how do I really know what's going on? Like, where do I start? It seems like it's too much to try to sort through and figure out what do I go do. So how do you start? How did you do it?
Well, the good thing about us being in, you know, the 21st century, we have
Right,
Google.
right, I know, but
So
yeah.
that was well, that I'm just saying that was one of my first things is
Okay.
just a simple, you know, Google search
Right.
and there's a ton of articles and there will be for any city that you're in
Mhm,
about fun things to do or weekend
mhm.
events.
Are
There's
you
also
looking at the sites like made for tourists, or are you looking at sites where,
yeah,
okay, okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
totally just pretend that you're going to visit there
Right,
and
so
just be
it's,
like best things to do, you know.
right, right. That's cool.
Um, yeah, and then obviously this is kind of one that I found along the way. There are a ton of Facebook groups out there,
Mhm,
and so go ahead, you know, look it up, join one. There's a women's group that I'm a part of,
mhm.
an Orlando women's group, and they're awesome. They post all the time, and it's a lot of women who actually just moved here,
Oh, okay.
or recent, yeah,
Yeah,
um, or who just want to make new friends, and so that way you can have
right,
girls' night and go out and try something new. You know,
right,
why
right. Oh,
not?
that's cool. So you can meet up with some of them and you'll figure out where, yeah, and decide where you guys are going. That's
Yeah,
cool.
go down to iDrive or,
Right.
you know, go hiking.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. That's nice. So has that brought you, I don't know, more fun to your life, or how would you describe it since you've been doing it for a few months?
I definitely think it's brought more fun to my life. I
Yeah.
think that having something to look forward to, you know, a lot of us we work and then on the weekends we're like, oh well, let's just relax, which is
Yeah.
great, relax.
Right.
But also, I want to do the fun stuff too. I want to try out a new farmers market. I want to go, you know, mini golfing and there to
Oh
be
yeah.
alligators there.
Yeah, yeah.
In Florida, I feel like there's alligators at every fun attraction. That's just
There
kind
is. Yeah.
of
That's just
that's
kind of how
us.
it works.
But yeah,
That's cool. So then, okay, so are those the two things, or did you have one more to add before I like deep dive?
no, feel free to deep dive.
Okay, okay. So we have, yes, we have living like a tourist and we have true crime. Okay, so true crime. I'm gonna ask, have you ever had, like, do you know anyone or have any experiences? Like, have you ever been closely connected to that world other than like, entertainment purposes?
Um, let me think. I mean, there have been a few crazy stories that I've heard. Luckily enough, I have never found myself in you know a horrible crime like that.
Right.
Most of the time, it's me just watching the shows.
Yeah.
Um, I do
Same here.
remember.
Yeah.
I do remember one time though. I I had been talking with my mom
Mhm.
actually, And I think she was like, oh my gosh, like, she said something, and I was like, what's going on?
Right.
And she had said that she had an old friend from high school who was getting out of jail.
Ooh, okay.
And I was like, are you still friends with her?
Yeah.
And my mom, of course, was like, no, I haven't talked to her in 20 something years since
Right,
we were
right.
in high school, and since that whole thing went down. But apparently she went on to tell me what had happened. And
Yeah,
apparently, just briefly, this
sure.
woman she was friends with throughout high school, she had got jealous of her boyfriend
Mm,
hanging out with this other girl, and they were high school sweethearts,
yeah.
you know, and she thought he was cheating on her, and then he went to break up with her. And so she went to fight the other girl,
Oh, yeah.
um, and ended up doing some not so nice things.
Yeah.
And can I
You,
say what she did, or
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't care.
um,
Say whatever you want. Yeah, yeah. Please.
she slit the girl's throat,
Ooh, okay.
which,
Yeah.
like, everybody was like,
Like that's pretty
how could
intense.
something insane like that happen?
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously there's mental health issues. And even my mom, that was like a huge thing at her high school. She was like, oh my god, I
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
this girl.
Right.
And luckily nobody ended up dying. There
Really?
was help.
Okay. Wow.
Yes, yeah, I know. There was help given. And the girl went away for
A
20
bit.
some odd years for
Right.
attempted
Attempted
murder.
murder. Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
But there are crazy stories every day.
Yeah.
And so, and that, I guess that brings me to one of the other things I like to focus on, I like to talk about, is mental health awareness.
Yes.
I feel like it's really important, to not only focus on yourself and your own mindset and making sure that you're good, but to also check on your friends and your loved ones.
Yeah.
you
Right.
know I feel like a lot of people and society, they have this thing of, you check in on people, or you comment on Facebook, and when something bad happens, and you're like, oh well, I hope everything's okay. you
Mhm.
know but I think it goes beyond that. I think,
Right.
expect an answer, plead a little more, and push a little farther to reach out to your friends and family, and text them and just say,
Right.
hey, how's everything doing, genuinely, are you okay?
Right.
Like, I want to know.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point. I'm all about mental health awareness and everything too. And I'm an open book. I tell people, I was like, I have a therapist, a psychiatrist. I've had, like coaches and things, and oh, and now I'm taking like courses and stuff for something called Landmark. But essentially, I'm like, my therapist said it's called eclectic therapy. Is like when you kind of, yeah, when you kind of attack it from all fronts. Not that attack is the right word, but
Yeah.
yeah. And mine is just like depression, anxiety. I say just because I'm like that's a common one, but yeah, so I'm like, just talk about it like it's anything else. Like if you said, oh, I got to start taking a pill for whatever headaches or whatever, like other health problem that's like, widely accepted, just be like, oh yeah, like I'm on a new medication.
No, and
In
I mean,
passing,
I
like,
completely
just talk about it
agree.
in passing. Yeah,
Yeah, there shouldn't
yeah,
there shouldn't be any stigma behind it.
right,
Obviously, I feel like everybody should have a therapist.
right,
A lot of
right.
people need it.
Yes, yes.
um, but
And yeah, so I think that's awesome. That's great. And yeah, I'll just throw it out there in case anyone's listening that needs to hear this. Um, from my personal experience and other people that I know, when we'll say like when a couple, like a man and a woman are usually like if they're married, and we'll say the husband thinks that he's all about mental awareness, right? Like he's great with like no stigma, blah blah blah. Then you end up figuring out it is usually they're all about supporting their wife and going to therapy, but they don't need help because they know themselves better than, like, it's like a, oh, I don't know, double-edged sword or whatever, where it's just
yeah,
like, or double standard. Yeah, it's like, yeah. So, um, and it's not like I'm speaking just from my experience, but other friends that I know. And it gets, so I'm speaking to the guys out there that it's awesome that you're supportive of your wives, but don't be so blind that like you might like that you can benefit from it too. So
Yeah.
that's my
And
public service announcement.
and like, you know, tag teaming on that, I really think if we want to talk about stigma and mental health, I think that a lot of men deal with that, you know, that standard where it's like men are supposed to be, you know, all knowing and like they can't have feelings or express that. And that's just simply not true.
Right,
That's
right,
everybody's entitled to their own feelings. Everybody goes through things, like
right.
everybody. You
Yes,
know, I feel like things happen in life. And anybody who's watching this, you know that we've all been through something or many
right,
things.
right, right.
And you know, you're entitled to your thoughts and your feelings. And for the men out there, go to therapy. It
Right,
helps, you know, and I
right.
promise you, nobody's gonna judge you for that. And if they do, then they shouldn't be in your life anyways.
I like, yeah, good point. Yeah, it's like then they're just not ready yet. Yeah, so go hang out
Right.
with supportive people.
Yes. And Lady Amy and I will
Yeah,
gladly do a tea time with you.
that's right. We'll support you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, yeah, that's cool. So okay, so let's see. Um so the true crime. Okay, so I for a while I like go through phases with that. So I used to, when I had like actual TV or whatever, like the ID channel,
Okay.
I just called it oh, I just called it the murder channel because all it was just like true, it was all murder shows. And so I used to watch that a lot, and then I used to listen to some podcasts that were those, which I will say I haven't been listening to it for a while now, so I don't know how the show has changed. But from the beginning, Sword and Scale, um, I'll give you a warning with it because that one is like no joke. So it's not like, yeah, they're gonna tell you some really hard stuff to hear about what went down, and with who. So if you think you can handle that, it's no ID channel. I'll tell you that much. So I used to listen to that one, and then now I'm on a forensic files kick because I like there's something soothing about the format, and it's on Netflix now, and they're like 20 minutes long. So like when I feel like I don't have time to watch a whole show, but I want like a little break with lunch, then I know I can trust forensic files to tell the story quickly.
No, I love Forensic Files. Yeah, I've watched all of them on
Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah,
They're pretty good, and Netflix has some good documentaries too.
yeah,
So yeah, and also I think it's really fun when you find one of those podcasts that yes, they go through all the facts and stuff, but I think it's also important to note that a lot of like people listening to these, sometimes if you can ever produce a helpful tip
oh
or
right,
yeah, by hearing this and by getting these stories out there, a lot of the time like the families of the victims are involved if
right.
it is unsolved and they get involved and they reach out to YouTubers and they try and get the story out there in hopes of tips coming out. And like there has been this whole community of people who their cases, their family members' cases have been solved,
Right, right. Uh,
you know,
uh,
through that. Because genuinely there's not enough, they like cops, they have special cold case teams and they literally go through rows and rows of just boxes
right.
of cold cases and it's a lot.
It's
There's
a
no
lot.
way
Yeah,
to get
it's
all
like
of that.
too much. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, if the journalists and people can get involved and have some, add some resources to it, that's
yeah,
pretty cool. That yeah. So podcasts are saving saving the world too.
I know, right? And like Lady Amy said, it's really it's really good kind of like background noise.
Yeah.
If I'm
That's
doing
what I say. Yeah, it's
schoolwork
just
or
soothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
if
Which
you're folding laundry,
right. Right. Which I don't know how many men are obsessed with it the way women are, which seems funny because I've heard like guys laugh before, they're like, what is it with you? And I'm like, there's just something that puts me like there's just something soothing about murder that like puts me right to sleep.
Oh
Like,
no, my boyfriend will walk in the room and walk right back out. He will he'll come and be like, babe, what do you do? Oh, you're listening to that.
oh, okay.
Because
That's great.
it gets gory at certain points, and you're hearing all the facts about a case. And so
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
I guess, yeah, women or some people, you can listen to it. And I'm talking about doing laundry and it being
Oh,
background
yeah.
noise. And he's like, this doesn't
Right.
bum you out.
Yeah, it's like, no,
No, not
yeah,
really.
yeah, right.
But
Especially if the case gets solved or when it gets solved. Yeah.
exactly.
Um, yeah, there's I think it was probably Netflix too, maybe it was Hulu, but anyway, wherever the old unsolved mysteries are on, and sorry if you hear some cats battling in the background. They're like, there's like two cats making up one cat ball right now.
Same
So
with here. Yeah.
okay. But if you watch the old episodes of Unsolved Mysteries, what I really like is that they are so like old that a lot of times you get that update at the end. So like you'll
Yeah.
watch the whole story and like when it aired, there was no result. And then now you watch them and they're not all resolved, but it's pretty exciting. We're like, oh look, I'm glad I
Yeah.
watched this like 20 years after the fact.
No, I know. I saw one the other day, and it was talking about a case from the 60s or 70s. And there's this guy, he wasn't doing so well financially, and he murdered his whole family because he didn't want to tell them that he had lost his job. And then he just changed his whole identity. Like he
Yeah.
cut out himself from all of the family pictures, so the police didn't. And back then, like, there
Oh,
wasn't
right.
Facebook to know what
Yeah,
this guy
yeah.
looked like. So they
Right.
had a sketch of him based off like neighbors and stuff and their recollection of him, and they couldn't find him. He just disappeared. And then there was a showing that
Uh-huh.
came out like 14 or it was 18 years later.
Yeah.
And there was a show that came out, and it was going over the case, and it showed the sketch, and some guy had actually gone and made like a clay model of what this guy would look like now.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And some people at home were watching it and were like, that looks like our neighbor down the street,
Yeah.
and he was remarried with a new family.
Whoa.
And they caught him, and at first he denied it and stuff, but obviously they had DNA that they had collected back then, and
Right,
now
right.
there was testing that they could do.
Wow. That's
So
wild. Yeah,
I
that
kind of,
would be
yeah,
weird. That would be weird when you're watching, like, especially when like Unsolved Mysteries was airing, like, and it was new. That would have been so bizarre to
right.
see something, and or see somebody, a sketch, and be like, I'm pretty sure that's my neighbor. Like,
I would definitely be freaked out,
yeah, yeah,
to say the
that's
least.
wild. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's crazy. So, but then, okay, so we had true crime and then traveling like a tourist. So, oh wait, I wanted to tell you one funny thing, about the true crime. So when I've always had, I'll say, I don't know, a healthy sense of fear of like just whatever happening, but probably in like a I don't know, morbid sense or whatever, but basically when I would go out running, which I was not a big runner, but whenever I would like, pretend I was starting my exercise phase in college, I would go out running, and my roommate Molly and we kept a notebook by the door that we wrote if we were going somewhere, like so we'd see it when we came back.
Yeah,
And so I would always write, going out to run at miniatures, I'd like put the time and like like time stamp it. And then I would always make sure that I had my ID on me, like my driver's license and, in my pocket or wherever. And yeah, and I was always like, well, in case they need to ID my body, like they're not like whoever attacks me might not they may not know that the runner has a license on them. So
right.
so
No,
I was
but I mean,
ready to
that's
help
really
the cops.
smart.
Yeah. And
That's
so I
really
was always like,
smart.
Molly, I hope you're ready to go on, one of these shows to talk about me.
Oh no. Yeah, I think a little while back I asked some friends based on like listening to those stories. I was like, how long would you go without speaking to me,
Yeah.
texting, calling, whatever,
Right.
without speaking to me before you would be like, what happened to Alexis?
Yeah. That's a really good question. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got a few different answers, and my best friend, I think she said probably a day, because we text a
Okay.
lot. So if I hadn't been
Right,
answering
right,
her text messages, things like that. And then
right.
obviously my boyfriend was like, probably, I mean, we lived together, so
Yeah, yeah. She's
probably,
like, yeah, she
yeah,
probably noticed. Yeah.
if
But
you
she
didn't
not,
come home, I would
right,
obviously. So,
right. That's
but I think
funny.
that's awesome. That's really smart of you and
Yeah.
your former roommate to actually
Yeah.
timestamp it. It's a little,
It's a little weird.
that's
Yeah, yeah. But and
no,
we
not
didn't
weird,
not
but
even yeah, I know, but well, and it wasn't even like so that was, for whatever for the police later, but we used that notebook anyway just to leave each other messages for whatever, when we're coming and going. But what's funny is so I think Molly still has the notebook and so like she can flip through it and it's almost like a little diary of like what we were up to
of
then.
everything you guys did. That's awesome.
And of course, there would be some friends that would come over and they'd be drunk and they'd know about it, so they would write messages in the notebook.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but
That's so
so yeah, so for the touristy thing, what has been like, I don't know, a couple of the really cool things that you've done so far?
okay. Um, I drive is really fun, kind of like a touristy spot. I had never thought to go. Like I said, I've been here for a few years. Went over to iDrive, and they have like the Ferris wheel over there. It
Right.
was just kind of fun. You go up there
Yeah.
and you can see all the lights of Orlando.
Right. Right.
Um, and then
Do you
honestly,
do? Oh, sorry. Do you do any of the rides that are like the crazy like bungee things and like the drops?
so I have my limits.
Okay.
So like I said, I grew up in Tampa.
Hmm.
And so in high school, there's Busch Gardens
Right.
over there.
Mhm.
And in high school, I was only 15 minutes away from Busch Gardens.
Oh, that's cool.
So me and all my friends had passes, and we would like go after school for a few hours, and like
Yeah. Yeah.
that was a hangout spot for us. So like
Right. That's
roller
so cool.
coasters, love.
Yeah.
But the bungee rides,
It's
no.
a different, yeah. It's a
There's
different,
a certain level of fear
yeah.
I'm not
Right.
willing to surpass. And the same thing
Right.
goes for, like, I love the fair. The fair is really
Mhm.
fun. Florida State Fair. I love going. Always good food,
Yeah.
good like little mini games.
Yeah.
But the rides,
Little sketch. Yeah.
yeah. For me personally, it's kind of like this took how many days to put up? 2, 3
Right.
days. And so I don't go on those. But
Right. Right. Yeah.
yeah.
It's like how many times has this been taken apart and then like been traveling on the road and then getting put back together, you know?
Yeah, which I mean, it's incredible that they're able to even do that.
Right, right.
But
But it's kind of, yeah, kind of wild. I think I feel like the fair rides are perfect as long as you're at like a kid age where you're not even thinking about that stuff. So like I used to love it as a kid, it's
oh
like
yeah,
whatever. Like the scrambler was like my favorite thing and it like throws you every which way, but it doesn't go up. I'm okay like going around
really?
low to the ground, but I don't want to be shot up into the air
And they have
or
those
dropped it down.
the anti gravity
Oh, the
ones.
Gravitron? Yeah, I
Yeah,
I didn't do that one. I was always too nervous
really?
to do that one.
That was
Yeah.
always my favorite.
Really? I don't know
Yeah, for
what.
some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. No, I wasn't brave enough for that. So good job you.
Thanks,
That
thank you.
probably would be cool. That would probably feel, is it pretty bizarre? Like, excuse me, do your feet like come off the ground?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you actually you're stuck to the wall
right,
because it's going so fast and there's no gravity. So,
right.
and then you kind of like rise and you can't like lift off the wall, like, and
Yeah,
it's really exciting to be able to experience something like that because, you hear all this stuff about space and,
yeah.
no gravity outside of Earth. And obviously we've never experienced that. We're,
Right, right.
but no, it's a really fun ride.
That's cool. So, do they even have any like, I don't know, restraints? Like, is there a designated seat or spot, or everyone just stands against the wall?
You literally just stand against
That's what I thought. Okay.
there's no restraints. They don't lock you in, not even a seatbelt.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's great.
But it's fun.
Yeah, that's fun. So yeah, I have yet to go on the Orlando Eye, or I guess they call it the Wheel, in Icon Park, but I've been over there, like the British Chamber. We do a lot of things over there because they're park managers, part of our, actually on the board for the British Chamber. But
Yeah, I remember
yeah.
him.
Oh right, yeah. So but so let's see. And so I haven't been on it yet, and we'll say the British snob in me, who's been on the London Eye a handful of times,
Ah,
is
can't
like,
compare.
yeah, is like, this isn't as tall, and like, what am I looking at?
Well, I guess
But
when you
I
compare
understand it would
those,
be
yeah.
very cool. I do want to go on it. I'm just saying yeah, before I could get over being a British snob, I was like, oh my God, this is nothing like the London Eye.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm telling on myself,
Yeah,
that's my
there's
confession.
definitely fun things to do, and you kind of just have to. There's even, if you want to talk about the Borden case, there's
Yes.
the famous axe throwing places.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know.
have
Yeah.
you heard?
No, I've heard that that was a thing for, yeah, but I didn't know, I didn't know
Yeah,
what ours was. Yeah.
they have one. They have one on University.
Oh.
Right, yeah, and there, so you go in
Mhm.
and they have like food and stuff, and even like beer and stuff like
Right.
that. And then they like set you up, and it almost looks like batting cages, but
Mhm.
instead of the
Oh,
machine that
okay.
throws
I
the
wondered
balls,
how,
it's a
yeah, how they
target.
separate people. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a target, and then I mean it's pretty simple. You just
Yeah, you
throw
just go.
axes
Right, right,
and see, you
right,
know,
right. So
but
so since it's like a batting cage, like you actually open the door and go in and like close the gate behind you, like so people can't get in, or no?
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Because
The back is
it's
still
just
open?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, there isn't really that many people behind you, but since all of the axes are being thrown this way,
Right. I didn't know if anyone was ever like, whoops, like reaching back to throw it and then it like
I
flies
feel
out.
like that would be a very
Kind of
good
like how
concern
sometimes with
to
the
have.
bowling ball, yeah, you like swing it,
But
like drops off.
no,
And
I
and
luckily I haven't heard any cases like that.
and then I also think, what if you're throwing it forward and like you mess up, don't let go or whatever, and like you throw it like into your foot? Is have you?
I
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I've
Like
never even heard of that.
So you've done it though yourself?
Yes,
Okay, so it felt
yes,
like totally fine and not like it's easy to
yeah.
mess up.
I mean, well, also they're not heavy, but they're also not like the lightest things in the world.
Okay,
So it's not, like you hold it
right.
and then you have to use like a lot of strength. And obviously, like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody there is just having a good time, and they educate you a little bit on
yeah,
how to throw it and things like that.
right.
So
That's cool. So is there a target? Like, are you guys trying to all make like,
yeah,
like darts
there's
or
a
whatever?
target in front of you,
Hmm.
and you're just kind of like a dartboard.
Right, right.
Like when you're throwing the
Yeah,
darts, instead you're throwing an
throwing.
axe.
Okay. And so how did you do? How did you fare?
Bad. I did
Okay.
horrible. Um,
Did you get them to stick into the target or were
once,
they falling down? Okay.
once. And I should lie and say that I was amazing and that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hit bullseye every time.
Right.
But no.
But that's okay. That's all right.
They're the targets are wooden,
Uh-huh.
and obviously I mean they're axes, but when you throw it, it
It
has to
has
be
to
with like
hit it right.
force, and
Mhm.
you have to aim pretty well.
Right.
But so I don't
Yeah.
have a natural knack for it.
Right, right. Well,
But
we can't all be like Lizzie.
I know.
It's awesome. Okay, so I like to always wrap up the show with one of my favorite questions is, do you have any ghost and or alien stories to share? And they can be your own or like someone that you know that you've heard that's like wild, or a family story that goes around. Yeah. What do you have?
Well, um, when I was growing up, I had a really hard time. Like I freaked my parents out a lot. I would sleepwalk.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Yes.
creepy.
And so I would sleepwalk and I would go and I would break things sometimes, and like it was
Mhm.
bad. But I remember um there I a few of the times I would wake up and I would like always see this like shadowy, and I was always scared. I was young. I maybe
Yeah.
like 6, 7, 8. And I would always see like a shadowy figure,
Mm.
near the door. And of
Right.
course, I was young, so I would just put my covers over my head and
Right.
that protected me.
Yeah.
um, so I've always thought like I look back on that and I figure it was a ghost.
Mhm.
But I don't know who or what,
Right.
or if it was just my young mind,
Right.
you know, doing things, spooky things in the dark.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but alien wise, no, never been abducted, never seen them. I do think they exist
Okay.
because I don't think that we're the only things out there,
Right.
only planet with life. Um,
Do you find them
and
interesting, like the idea of them, or is it just like, yeah, they
yeah,
exist? Okay.
yeah. My friend actually, and you'll find this interesting because it has to do with England.
Okay. I'm ready.
um, but no, so there's this podcast, and I'll send you the information, and it's called Mile Higher Podcast, and they did
Mhm.
an episode on crop circles,
Ooh, yeah.
which I don't know what I thought crop circles were.
Yeah.
I think they were this.
They
So
are wild. They're like, yeah,
yeah, and
they're
I
not just
thought,
circles.
yeah,
Yeah.
obviously I thought it was just circles, and people could just go out there and play tricks and
Right,
pranks
right,
and do that on farmers' land.
right.
No, they're actually very intricate,
Yeah.
and there has been a lot of research done to prove that like humans could not do this. There's no
Right,
way, because when you get an aerial view and you look down, there's no
right,
there's no footsteps leading away. That it's
right.
literally
And it's like
perfect.
perfect, yeah, like perfect geometry or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like down to like mathematically speaking,
Right, right,
even like perfect angles and
right,
a perfect 360 sphere. Like it's pretty
right.
crazy.
And the
Um,
way, yeah, it was like, and the way I've seen shows where like the way that the corn is like pushed down, like that's not even normal. And like I've seen people try to recreate it, like, just testing it out, and they like had a board and they're all like kind of stepping down like on it, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, and there was a study done. A college put like a team together,
Mhm.
and they tried to recreate a crop circle,
Oh yeah.
and it took them weeks, like in the
Right.
making,
Oh yeah, that's the
and
other thing. Yeah.
they were able to, they made like a fairly simple one,
Right.
with like the shapes and stuff, but they weren't able, it wasn't perfect. You could easily see like where they had to leave. Obviously you have to walk away from it.
Right.
um and so it is crazy to think about that.
Yeah.
And statistically speaking, the way it relates to England, for some reason, England is
They,
like known
they have
to
a
be like the
bunch.
hot
Yeah.
spot. Yeah, they are like, they have so many there that
Right.
they have like, we have tours and stuff here to show stuff, but they have tours to like go see local
Oh,
crop
that'd be
circles
cool.
that just randomly pop up, and they do it overnight. Like crop
Yeah,
circles
yeah.
pop up overnight.
Right. Right. Done
So
very, very quickly. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't uh yeah, I guess I'm starting to find aliens, I guess maybe a little more interesting just because a guy that I'm seeing has made me watch some movies, or I'll say has had me watch some movies that I've been ignoring for years. So like
really,
I'm now almost done watching all the Marvel movies, which I'd never seen any of them. He's the reason
really,
why, yeah, he's the reason why I saw Avatar when you mentioned Avatar. I was dragging my feet on that one. And like the Matrix, yeah, like I'm getting caught up on all these things that I purposely avoided. I haven't started
yeah.
Lord of the Rings yet though.
Oh, so you're stubborn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just am like not drawn to those based like on my own,
Okay,
because it's like, where have you been? I was like, my friends and we don't watch that stuff. Like I said, I'm sure
right.
I know I'll be entertained by it. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's just that's not the kind of movie I'm drawn to.
Yeah, no, I get it. And like my boyfriend, I actually just recently got him to watch Forrest Gump,
Oh yeah,
which he
I
has
have
told
seen
me
it.
no to for 2 years now.
I love it.
I've always said, let's watch Forrest Gump, and he's always been like, no. I ask him why, and he's like, I don't think I'll like it.
Funny.
So yeah, so kind of the same thing. And then so funny thing, he watched it, and at the end, I was like, "Oh, how'd you like it?" And he was like, kind of made me tear up at the end. That was sad.
Oh
And like that never happens for him,
yeah, yeah.
like
That's
ever.
funny.
So
That
he actually really liked the movie.
right, right.
So yeah.
That's good. I think that's interesting that you, yeah, are like in the mood to watch Forrest Gump. Because to me, it's like I've seen it, I saw it way back in the day, and like seen it reruns and stuff, probably on TV. But that's never one where I feel like, you know what, I'm in the mood to watch Forrest Gump right now. So,
No, it's a
what
lovely
mood
movie.
is that?
But it was just one of those. I think it's because I'm stubborn too. So I
Mhm.
was like, well, I watched it a long time ago and it was good. So you
Yeah,
have to watch it because
right,
it's
right.
good.
Yeah,
But
that's funny. That's good.
next I'm gonna get him to watch Titanic. So
Oh,
so there's just classics
that's a
that
good.
you have
He
to see.
hasn't watched, but he's never seen Titanic. Like that's one
Never.
I've seen like yeah, a million times. I had my friend who was like obsessed with Leo back in the day. And so I mean like we went to the like I had to go to the theater multiple times with her.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's never seen it.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, we'll have to see what he thinks of that one. Um, I realized I have a recommendation for you in your touristy stuff, and it's ghost related, or it can be. So another business that's part of the British Chamber, it's called let's see, Original Orlando Walking Tours, I believe is what it's called. And they do different types of walking tours, but one of them is like ghost, like the ghost tour, and it's in Winter Park. They walk around Winter
Oh
Park,
wow.
and that's
Yeah.
super interesting. Yeah, just the stuff that they'll tell you. But and they also and they have like a historical thing with it, and then I guess even Mr. Rogers lived there for a little bit near Rollins or something. So they have like a Mr.
Really?
Rogers tour. Yeah.
Oh.
So I would say, yeah, so a walking tour, it's in Orlando and they're gonna show you stuff. That's
Yes.
you can go be a tourist
Down.
with that.
No, I'm down.
Yeah. But one of the guys in the chamber with me, we were talking to the tour guides, and we're like, can you do one in Mount Dora? Because I just love Mount Dora. And they're like, yeah, but it's like far, like it takes a lot to get one going. And we're like, well, if there's not enough crime there, let us know. Like
Right.
we'll make sure that there's enough there to
Oh
require
gosh.
to require
I feel like I'm a witness now.
I just said it to the world. So um yeah, but anyway, so yeah, but thank you so much for your time and for being on the show. Do you feel good? Do you have anything else that you wanted to say?
I feel good. Thank you for inviting me. I have enjoyed my sweet tea and my conversation. I
Oh,
think that's the best part of drinking tea, that you
yeah,
have to have good conversation with it.
I
So
appreciate
thank you
that.
for
Yeah.
that.
Yes,
And
you're
as
welcome.
always, it's a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for everyone who watched now and who watches into eternity on YouTube. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And my new sign off that I get from my new favorite Scottish show is instead of saying cheers, I like to say cheery bye. So instead of like
Cheery.
goodbye, cheery
Bye.
bye.
Oh, that's
Okay.
awesome.
Cheery bye. Thanks, Alexis.
All right. Bye.